The following is an EHC media production.
What's going on, RWT family and Smart Mark Radio listeners? This is your boy, Moses Marquez.
And I'm your boy, Emir Blackbane Costello.
And we are here to remind you guys to catch us each and every week on the Gorilla Position.
Yeah, man, it's our little show we got going on where we talk about all things wrestling. And Moses Marquez, what's your favorite thing to talk about?
My favorite thing to talk about is all the bullshit going on in the WWE, but then I like to sugar on a little bit of the awesomeness of the New Japan Pro Wrestling. What about yourself?
Yeah, man, I like talking about those things too. Not to mention AEW is coming out. Ring of Honor is awesome. And I don't know if anybody likes Impact, but fuck it, if they're making news, we're talking about them too.
We're talking about all this and more, guys. So again, catch us each and every week on soundcloud.com/smartmarkradio, and of course on the RWT YouTube page. Every week, a new episode of the Gorilla Position will be up. So we'll catch you around the bend, boys and girls. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
For honest, uncut, and often controversial coverage of all things wrestling, there's one place to get it, with some good old banter thrown in.
Join the Butcher and myself, two-time Knowledge Champion Mike Larkin, along with your host Dazzy Dangerously, every Friday for the Max Wrestling Podcast, with championship specials every 2 to 3 months.
WWE, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and the company with many names and more.
On Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podomatic, iTunes, and Stitcher.
We must now bid you adieu, goodbye, mwah, and good night. Bam!
I got my fist in the air, screaming black power. I feel like Tookie Williams' last hour. We used to stand for something, but most niggas is cowards. Took rows to bars to sit down, so I'm pro-black like the pigs with the fist now. 80s track exists now. All these babies going crazy cause these ladies smoking daily now. So tell me, how you really gonna say the chow when it's still running through our veins as a juvenile? If something's gonna change, you better do it now. Since this makes sense, we gon' start a movement now.
EWA.
Do you play WWE 2K18 on the PS4? Would you like to play against other like-minded players in a very unique online league that's unique because we are more committed to storylines than just a straight-up competitive league? The league is still very competitive, but we also try to run things like a bit of a TV show. Check out the YouTube channel and the Facebook page in the description below if you're interested.
Well, it's the Retro Show. We're back. Another episode down, another time to go back in time. This time, doing a little NWA, and no, I don't mean the rap group, I mean the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. We're going to do an awesome pay-per-view, their WrestleMania, if you will, STARRCADE 1988 True Grit. I will be shortly joined by my constant co-hosts, my awesome co-hosts, Paul Morales and Emir Costello shortly. So stand by and you're in for a treat. Stand by. All right, without further ado, we are back. I am joined with Emir and Paul. What's up, guys?
Nah, man.
What? Nah, man.
No.
Put some respect on my name. Put some respect on my name.
Okay. Okay, let me try this over again.
It's that black guy, Emir.
Black guy.
The black guy.
What?
There.
Emir, Blackbane, Costello, and Mr. Paul Morales, who just so happens to
There
be
you
strumming us a tune.
There you go. There is some respect, sort of, but I guess it will be said.
By the way, we gotta get Birdman. What a true gem. Put some respect on my name. I don't know. All the years of my life I lived without even knowing that phrase. How did I get by? I'm so happy I can repeat that.
I'm glad you could repeat that.
That is definitely one way of going. So, NWA, STARRCADE 1988, True Grit. How we feeling so far? Just from the jump, just the initial feel. How was your view of the show?
I got something from the jump. The fact that they were still naming pay-per-views back then. STARRCADE 88, True Grit.
It was awesome.
It wasn't. It didn't even just say STARRCADE 88, but then they had to add the True Grit.
True Grit. What a sign of the times.
Right? That's even better.
I just gotta say this. All right, the last pay-per-view that we all saw was, what was it?
New Year's Revolution.
New Year's Revolution.
No, not on our show. I mean, like in real life. I mean, like, you know what I mean, like just
TLC.
happened. Oh, tell you TLC, right. Okay, if they had the name TLC, and don't say tables, ladders, and chairs, but like if they were naming pay-per-views in 2019, what would they call? What would you have called TLC realistically?
TLC busting through the tables.
Busted through the tables.
Nice. Or dig it. Trademark it.
I think I would call it TLC. Last ditch effort.
That's terrible.
TLC, Crash Bang Boom.
Crash Bang Boom.
Yeah, that would definitely work in the 80s.
You know, when this show comes out, TLC is actually not going to be, in all likelihood, it may not be the last pay-per-view we've seen, or maybe it will. I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
Could be something different.
Wrestle Kingdom's coming up. Oh, all right. Sorry, we're not here to talk about all that. So, STARRCADE 88, True Grit.
Okay, hold on. I want to
Jim Ross, bro. What the hell?
No, Jim Ross was awesome.
Dude,
but I want
Tony Schiavone with the fucking porn stash.
Porn stash.
He's over there with his Ron Jeremy porn stash. What the hell was that?
There was a bunch, like Magnum TA had a porn stash. I think it was either they were all over the place. That was 1988 for you. But I want to stop this momentum really quick. I want to ask you guys one simple question: how easy was this show to find for you?
It was easy to find.
Yeah, once I typed in STARRCADE, and I got to it pretty easily.
It took me over an hour to find this show.
But that's
I would have sent you the link.
That's user error, though.
No. Okay, so I go to watch it, and I'm moving it from. Originally, I'm watching it off my Fire Stick, and then I'm watching it on my phone because I could find it in the previous watch, and then I open it on my laptop, and I have to go through the website. There's no previously watched tab for some odd reason. I typed in STARRCADE. It stopped at like 97. And then I had to look in collections and go to World Championship Wrestling and then look at STARRCADE. And then that stopped at 90. For some stupid, godforsaken reason. And then some glimmer of hope, I fucking found the goddamn thing. By the time I started watching the fucking show, I got half an hour into it and I had to stop watching it.
What I hear you saying is, in order for you to find this show, it took True Grit.
Jesus.
Good one. I gotta give you that.
That
one.
was
That
hilarious. And yes, it
Thank
took
you, thank you.
it took more than true grit. It took patience and me not trying to snap my laptop in two. But
that too.
but the show opened up in 80s fashion, colorful lights, crazy music, had awesome promos. Flair yelling at Luger to shut his mouth, Barry Windham yelling at Bam Bam Bigelow saying he can't hang in an NWA title match, and then Dusty going on an all-out, just crazy promo saying he wants eye for an eye after a brutal attack by the Road Warriors, driving a spike into his eye and getting color on live television, which actually had gotten Dusty heat at the time. So,
Yeah, exactly. That was it's funny because on the network it shows. I mean, you could look back at the episodes of World Championship or World Championship Wrestling, which is the NWA promotion at the time. So you could look at their shows that were used to air on TBS. Most of them were usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So continuously, all the way up until the pay-per-view, you can watch, the progression of those, of what happened, like you can now. But I believe at the time those were local affiliate. That was local affiliate, right? That was like Georgia.
yeah, they were the show was
That wasn't national. I believe it was because I believe cable companies back then were picking them up too.
I want to say it was like the
was part of their
pay-per-view, or it was nationally televised, but of course, they were doing the whole going around tour snippet, like as like little Hobunk town as possible. They were in it was like Norfolk, Virginia, and they had fit like what was it? I forgot what it was like under 30,000 people, something like that. But it was fucking packed in the 80s. It felt like a gigantic deal in what seemingly was the middle of nowhere. Like nowadays, it's all the fucking big pay-per-views over there in Florida, oh, they're in L.A., they're in Austin, Texas, blah, 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 blah. This is in the middle of fucking Virginia, and this place is going just fucking bananas.
One of my favorite things about watching the old pay-per-views that we've been watching is just looking at if you look at the crowd, look at the way people are dressed back then, and even the film itself. The film has a certain tint to it, but it's like this was an NWA pay-per-view, and looking at it made me understand that WWF, which would go on to be WWE, they stole a lot of shit from other people. Like, because I only grew up watching WWF, WWE, I just thought like, oh, they were the originators of this stuff. But like when STARRCADE 88 came on, I listened to Tony Schiavone go, this is the Super Bowl of wrestling. And I was like, wow, they say that about WrestleMania. They must have stole that.
Yeah, that's not only did they steal their talent, they stole their taglines. They also stole their commentator at one time when Jim Ross actually signed with the WWF at the time. Bob Caudle, is it me or was he just there?
No, he was just there because I believe he was only on the floor because Jim Ross didn't really have a mainstay partner in NWA until I believe 90.
Oh wow.
And then I know he jumped ship, a few years later to WWF. To WCW.
Come on, old man. I know you know better.
Hold on. Yeah, I mean before. Okay, so yes, he was in WCW in the beginning.
Right, it was brief.
When it transitioned over, and then he jumped ship.
Can we
WWF?
Can we also note this? Going with the WWF stole some ideas here. Imagine my surprise when at the start of the show, because they want to big time everything, they go like, we even have some stars here that came all the way from Hollywood, and then the camera pans over to Jason Hervey, who plays the brother Wayne on the Wonder Years.
Yeah,
Now
he was a big time wrestling fan, and that was one of the things that he had said in a lot of interviews when the Wonder Years was just beginning, that he was a real wrestling fan. It wasn't just one particular brand. I mean, he loved wrestling in general.
Okay, so
he would pop in at WCW, he would pop in at NWA, he would pop in at WWF, events.
I didn't know this about him, so here's where the irony comes in at. I grew up watching the Wonder Years. I loved it. It was everything that my childhood was. Winnie Cooper, don't even get me started. And right before we watched this show, watched STARRCADE '88, maybe 3 or 4 days earlier, I like to put on Hulu, and watch certain shows as I go to sleep. And I saw that Hulu now has the complete series of the Wonder Years. And so I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so I put on the first episode of season 1, and there I see like Wayne and Kevin Arnold and blah, blah, blah. And of course I fell asleep. But the point is like, then days later, after not thinking about Jason Hervey since I was a child, days after I start rewatching the Wonder Years, there he is at fucking STARRCADE '88. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is crazy.
It's meant to be. Absolutely meant to be. So, I will bring up one more odd thing from this show. Jim Ross brings up that Ric Flair is a 5-time world champion, and I just it was a double take. I was like, only 5? Doesn't he have like 80? He's been champion for years. I think all in all, he has like 22 reigns as world champion.
I think it's hilarious how people they think this, and like, how is Vince not counting? Like, what's the part where they go, oh, all those other things? I hate every part of like anything in WWE where they go, TNA, you wrestled, your whole career took place in TNA. That's not a thing. We'll just have the announcer say, well, he's wrestled all around the world. And if you were in Japan, we'll mention Japan. But we will not mention Impact. It's like, what the hell, dude? You can't just act like other championship.
We won't say the words New Japan Pro Wrestling or IWGP.
Well, you can say like AJ Styles is a multiple-time champion. I mean, he was in New Japan. He was in TNA. But there were, if you actually look at the discrepancies inside of his championship reigns, it's like there are some where NWA doesn't recognize it. There are some where WCW doesn't recognize it, and those are the ones where you can say, oh, well, he defended it, but because he lost it, it's not sanctioned by NWA. It's not sanctioned by WCW. So that's why they say, oh, he doesn't count them.
I say he's just a hater, but whatever. He's got to make it. But he's got to make the
champion. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, he had to make that bar
even
reachable.
Though it's only recognized at 16, we all know it's more than
it's way.
I'm just saying, with John Cena showing back up on SmackDown, which is a show that's already been taped, and he's going to be on SmackDown and Raw, which means at some point they may try to throw the 17th championship on him or whatever it is, and then they're going to act like he passed Flair. I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. I don't even like John Cena, as I've already stated.
Yeah, but he's already he's already past that threshold because he was champion in OVW. So how is that not, that's another one that's not recognized.
It's got to be on the main, bro. It's got to be on the main stage.
A WWE affiliate.
Like, they only give Booker T the shine. Like, they put an asterisk next to his world titles. They say he's a 5-time WCW world champion. That's their asterisk. WCW.
But that's his gimmick.
No, I know that it's his. Okay, you're right.
5 times.
Yeah, and that's how it's always going to be. Even though you're not going to count the ones that he won in WWE. So,
all hail King Booker.
King
King
Booger. All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's jump into this this show, and it starts off with a title match, the U.S. Tag Team Title match. The Fantastics, Bobby Fulton, Tommy Rogers against the Varsity Club, Kevin Sullivan, and the bear of a man, Dr. Death Steve Williams. He was just gigantic.
Okay, here's my note that I made on Dr. Death, Steve Williams. I called him a rapist because...
Whoa!
Wait, hang on. Let me explain why he's mad rapey.
Oh, my God.
He did 5 military presses in a row, and if you look at his hands,
okay, the hand
every
placement.
time he did a military press, his finger was going up that dude's ass. Now, the reason why I know that that's a thing is because Hulk Hogan made it very clear that when Andre the Giant would do the military press on guys, that he would purposely put his finger in their ass just to fuck with them, and his fingers were the size of dicks. So I know these other wrestlers know. I know these wrestlers know when they're poking somebody in the ass. And he did the military press on that dude 5 times in a row. I'm sorry, in my book, it's mad rapey.
Oh my God, I
Dude,
can't.
It's funny that Kevin Sullivan is, I guess, the wizard or something like that.
He's
or the mind something or other.
He is
what the hell his nickname was.
Was it the War Games Master, something like that?
Yeah, something. Anyway, so the fact that he was this crazy dude, and then he's in the varsity club with these guys, and then Mike Rotunda.
I love it that they came out to that fucking the fight song.
I think it's just funny. I think it was awesome. It's hilarious to me.
And he's all rocking out. He's like, I'm from fucking Singapore, where we practice voodoo and shit, but look at this awesome wrestler behind me.
Like, he goes from this wrestler to coming out with Rotundo later on, and then
who's another gigantic fucking wrestler.
Looking like a druid.
Well, that's his gimmick. He worships the devil. This is the 1980s, Haas. This is what they do.
Yo, I'm sorry. I just thought about something. I'm looking out my notes. What the fuck? Teddy Long with the Jerry curl on what was left of his hair?
Okay, first off, is it okay?
Oh yeah, that was the other thing that was in my notes too. Thank you that you pointed it out. I was gonna say, damn, for as old as freaking Teddy Long is now, even for as young as he was then, damn, homeboy was rocking the Jerry curl.
He was, and then what struck me is what version of time is this where Teddy Long was the referee for like the first 6 matches or something?
I was just gonna say the same thing. They're
gonna switch this guy out.
They're like, nope. And then my whole thing is he's like
paid.
He's like the ultimate fan ref, because he's like asking him. He's like, did he use the phone? Did he use the phone? And like the later match, and they're like, yeah.
Asking the audience.
Yeah, like what the fuck is going on? It was the greatest. I love Teddy.
Did he put his leg on the rope? It's like he needs confirmation from the audience.
It's like a game show.
Yeah,
so now we're getting too far ahead of us. So now let's go back to this match.
Okay. All right, let me do the quick little run through right here. Early double teams from the Fantastic, big double drop kick. Sullivan sells the whole fucking match. Williams gets his guy up. I'm not going to say how Emir said it, but he hit 6. I thought it was 6. Military presses, just throws the dude up with
that's even more rapey.
with proper thumb placement. I'll say that. With proper thumb placement, and then he just slams him down, hits a big stalling vertical suplex, running in place. Sullivan finally does something, gets his legs up, blocks Fulton, splash from the top. Steve Williams comes in, immediately takes over, hits I'm calling it a Rainmaker clothesline. Damn near killed the fucking poor guy. Sullivan does some damage to Fulton. Williams back in. Next, Fulton on the ropes as the Varsity Club maintains control. Hot tag to Rogers. He comes in going after both Williams and Sullivan as Rogers attempts the Thez press. Williams turns it into a slingshot. They pick up the 1, 2, 3, which trips me out. Like every time there's a fucking tag, and all the tag team matches, the partner is right there. He's right fucking there. He sees him already count 2. The guy's hand is like 3/4 of the way from tapping 3, and he's like, oh shit, I need to stomp on him. Every fucking time. And then they're counting while they're in the ring. Fucking Teddy, what the hell are you doing, Teddy? You're just fucking counting to count.
Welcome to old school NWA.
Jesus, criminy. I was aggravated. I was baffled all night long. Guys are right fucking there. You're doing nothing.
Moses, just for that criticism of Teddy Long tonight, you got a tag team match against the Undertaker, player.
That's fine. He's old. I'll whip his ass.
Yeah, right.
You're wrong. You're right.
This was just okay. It's the opening match of a pay-per-view. It was slow.
But was it though?
The pace was just kind of like one of those. Okay, you got these two guys who almost look like twins against,
that fucking
Williams,
hair on Sullivan though. Jesus
should
Christ.
still be playing linebacker.
The balding
for
mullet.
Rams,
yeah.
or at Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, he's just a bear of a man.
He's a big man, and I mean, you see him do a bear hug on this guy, and he's like, you see the guy like, oh, like, dude, you're squeezing me too hard.
Yeah, he's like, for real, bro, back up.
So what do you guys rate the match?
Paul, go first.
It's an opening match. I'll give it a 2.
Oh, really? That's kind of weak.
It is because I still think that there are better matches and in this pay-per-view, so I'm gonna give it a 2.
Look, I'm gonna give because the Fantastics were awesome. Okay, I felt like if they would have went against like the Midnight Express or something, they would have had a fucking killer match. These guys are trying to go 100 miles an hour by a team that was kind of just in there to do some heavy work. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the first match. I actually gave it 3.5.
The Fantastics, I've never heard of them.
Neither have I.
So even though they were in the opening match, I just didn't expect a lot out of them. And boy, did they prove me wrong. I thought that the match was great. I really enjoyed the fact that the Fantastics and Steve Williams and Kevin Sullivan found a way to everybody got over. Like the Fantastics got to do all their tag team and high flying stuff, and then Kevin Sullivan and Steve Williams got to be the big men that they were, and then everything all made sense to me, and I was like, wow, this was much better than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, I think I could. Wait, this is out of 5, right?
This is out of 5, yes.
Yes. Okay, so nobody knows the rating system, and you're just listening.
Yeah.
5 is top. There are no 3/4. There are no quarters. It's either 5. It's either 5 between 1 and 5. Then there halves.
Yeah.
I'll give it. I would definitely give this match.
Excuse me.
I'd give it a 3. I'd give it a 3 because I was like, wow, this is a really good match, much better than I expected. By far, they blew my expectations out of the water. So yeah, I'll give it a 3.
Okay, so let me explain my 2. The reason why I said 2 is because basically the Fantastics carried this match. You had Muscle on the other side, yes, you did, but it was like they look like they should be on geriatric meds. and literally they were moving slow as hell, and the Fantastics were just like these guys that were just like the Rockers and they were just all over the place, high flyers, let me jump up and down, boom boom boom, and that to me showed 80s what the 80s were about, because those were just the fast-paced guys, and that's what I liked.
Either you guys heard of the Fantastics before we watched STARRCADE?
Fuck no.
Actually, yes, I did, because they used to be in the
Fuck no.
AWA.
I'll keep it funky.
How did they not go on to become somebody or something?
I really don't know. I mean,
they were great. I loved them.
They were a 2 or 3 time United States Tag Team Champions.
That's what I thought was crazy too. Like the United States Tag Champs, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, that's a thing.
That kind of coincided with the United States title.
I think Eric L. White put a post up forever ago, if I'm not mistaken, that said, dude, do you guys remember who held these championships? And I was like, the Road Warriors. He's like,
I believe my answer was the Fantastic.
Eric L. White is the belt god, so he would definitely be the one posting about
Let's say,
Champ.
yeah.
By the
Anyone would even
way,
know.
he's cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's cool.
Okay. So I do want to talk about the backstage promo that they had after they, won the belts. You had Mike Rotundo, Steve Williams, all those guys back there. Steve Williams says the Varsity Club's always going to be on top. Mike Rotundo said he's going to beat Rick Steiner like the dog that he is. First off, you couldn't get away with that promo nowadays. If you beat a dog, they're going to be like, that's it. Call fucking
and
beat
then
up
he was,
right
then
now.
he called him all kinds of. He said he was stupid. He was mentally challenged.
This was
and
just
all
like
this
an
other stuff. And I'm
asshole
just like
promo.
thinking, I'm going, wow, that's not gonna fly today.
Just felt some type of way.
So there was something else. I'm sorry from the last match. Just one more quick note. At some point, the announcer or somebody went, "There's 10 minutes left in the match," and I thought to myself, damn, this pay-per-view is old. Like that. First of all, I don't even know if they even announce time limits anymore in WWE, and if they do, there's no version of somebody going, 5 minutes left, because nobody's really keeping time. Yeah, I mean,
well, it's like looking.
New Japan, they do it though.
New Japan, they do it.
Well, that's different.
They say the time.
Yeah. Yeah, New Japan does it.
AWA used to do it too, because NWA and I believe WCCW used to do it too. I don't ever remember WWF.
I don't think so.
Ever doing it.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna jump into the next match. It's the Midnight Express versus the Midnight Express. And it's one team is led by Jim Cornette, the other team is led by Paul E. Dangerously. Holy shit, he's been in wrestling forever. Jim Cornette is oddly fat, and I'm gonna let you guys argue over this because this is awesome.
He was skinnier. He had a lot of hair. He still had a big ass head though.
Oh, his forehead was like a 12 head still then, but he just had longer hair. He just had a little bit more stylish hair and looked like beat up Don Johnson from Miami Vice.
Yeah. My problem with this match
is that they're both named the Midnight Express.
That part was fine. I mean, I get that part. I just don't get the part where like, this is STARRCADE. This is the Royal Rumble. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm tripping.
This is the Royal Rumble?
Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl of wrestling. It's the Royal Rumble. And
do you know why it was called that? Before you keep going, do you know why it was called that?
I assume because it was the year-end show, like the biggest show at the end of the year.
No, because that was literally their very first pay-per-view ever.
Was it a year-end show though, or no?
Yeah, it was a yearly show. They moved it. It used to be in November, but when WWF had started the Survivor Series, they moved it from November to December.
So what I'm trying to say is this. But is STARRCADE meant to be the culmination of their year in wrestling? Like
it is
they
their
worked all year
WrestleMania
long to get to this point. So
yes, because remember WWF started with WrestleMania. That was their beginning of every pay-per-view. That was their when they started doing pay-per-views. Their very first one was WrestleMania. So the very first pay-per-view that NWA ever had was STARRCADE, I believe.
All right. Now, if it's a show that happens at the end of the year, what I'm getting at is these matches are all supposed to have payoffs. Like to me, WrestleMania or STARRCADE is a payoff pay-per-view, as in we've been working to get this point. Now here's the conclusion. I don't like any version of like this. Is why I had a problem with this past year's WrestleMania that I went to, where like Shinsuke Nakamura turned heel as opposed to like winning the championship from AJ Styles. It's like there's supposed to be payoff here. Like I don't. The Midnight Express versus the Midnight Express.
Hold on, wait.
Into like a bunch of like nobody's following the rules and everybody's fighting. It's like, wait, I wanted to see a conclusion, not like.
You did see a conclusion. They had an awesome match. There was a clean pinfall. You saw the Royal Rumble winner take on the champion. It was a right down the middle finish, and then bam, you interloop into the heel turn, setting up the road down. You got your cake and you ate it too, sir.
Well, there's
Emir doesn't see it that way.
and let me tell you something. If that though later on, there's another match we're gonna come up to that had a bullshit ending too, and I want to see you talk your way out of that one. I'm not saying you booked the show. I'm just saying.
I think I know which match you're talking about. But first, let's get into this Midnight Express match. I really enjoyed it, actually. This was one of the better matches of the night, in my opinion. It was pretty crazy, pretty all over the place. God, right now I cannot tell these guys apart. I can't find my note on it. But the original Fantastics, led by Paulie Dangerously, worked solid. But every now and again, Jim Cornette would jump in there with his racket and just get the fucking super pop. All of a sudden, Paulie's grabbing the hammer to the bell and he's ringing in. He's like, "Where's the DQ?" And he's just making a giant thing. And this was all in all an excellent match. They missed the rocket launcher. Ends up being kind of like a screwy quick 1, 2, 3 again with your fucking partner within footsteps. Walks out as they count 3 and realizes, oh crap, I could have stopped that. But solid match from the Midnight Express. Definitely, I see where all the hype was when people talk about one of the best tag teams during this era.
Well, yes, they were. You have to understand is that the tag teams that were in that era, that were in WC or in NWA. Sorry, I'm used to doing that.
It's WCW. Assume Ted Turner's already bought the company.
I'm used to doing that one. I'm sorry. I you bounce around, from company to company. I guess it just happens to run out that way. Anyways, I mean, the top 2 tag teams in that era were actually, well, 3. The Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, and the Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors are awesome. I can't wait till we get to that match.
You had other teams that were built into there, and then that were just built around those 3 tag teams. That would be like today building them around the Usos, the Bar, and the New Day. And that's what you do. You just kind of build around those 3.
It's terrible. Don't do that. Make stars. Make the tag team division relevant. Back in the day, you had your star. You can get away with having stars and shit. Nowadays, I don't want to see the same guys for fucking 50 years. Okay? But because back then, you knew how to make a guy and how to make a guy relevant constantly. The Road Warriors didn't get stale until one of the guys, died. So, I mean, that's my whole thing. Like, the Usos are excellent. That's a team to get behind. But how long did it take for us to get to them? You know what I mean? What's gonna happen when they're gone? What's next on the list? Who's in the background? Is Sanity really gonna get pushed? You know what I mean? We're jumping into the current era, but that's the problem. That's the problem we have with that. There's no direction. With this one, you had direction. You had teams like the Fantastics that were waiting in the wings, ready to jump up. You had guys, you know what I mean? They had their stars. When the stars left, you had new stars ready to go. This new era WWE, no. John Cena leaves, they go into panic. Roman Reigns leaves, they go into panic. They don't know what to do. Speaking of people that don't know what to do, Paulie Dangerously runs like a little bitch. Runs from Jim Cornette. The whole thing, it was awesome. They chase him around. He takes a giant bump. It was great. Paulie Dangerously. Paul Heyman just seeing him back then is a treat. Is an absolute treat. But seeing Jim Cornette was an awesome manager. I see why everybody really liked it back then. His views on wrestling are a little weird, but he's an awesome manager. So, but yeah, really good match.
I believe the fact that that Jim Cornette he managed both the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express.
Yep.
And I believe it was the original Midnight Express when it was Rose and the other guy that's on the other side. I can't even remember his damn name right now.
Neither can I.
And that's
part of the problem.
Like I said, the thing is that in that era, there were only so many tag teams that were very, very popular, and those three I mentioned were it. So in order to branch them off, you did have the Four Horsemen. You had Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, who were also another tag team.
That is true.
The Fantastics, who again were another tag team, but Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes and Sting were a tag team for a while. So
excellent tag team fights.
I guess for that era, if you look at it, these four men have intertwined for a number of years, even prior to this match.
Yeah,
What really sticks out to me is back then, the mark of a great manager, besides their ability to speak, was also the prop that they carried. Jim Cornette had the tennis racket, and Jimmy Hart had the megaphone. Paul Bearer had the urn. When you think about managers today, if managers today even exist, none of them carry any. And there's no prop you can define a manager by these days.
No. None.
They won't allow it.
Makes me sad.
Because you look at Paul Heyman, Paulie Dangerously. Paulie Dangerously carried around a cell phone that was like Zach Morris. Saved by the Bell. He used to hit the top. I'm gonna call somebody and hit the top of it like he's hitting the antenna, and I'm gonna call this person, and
No, excellent comedy from Jim Cornette. Uses the phone, or Paulie dangerously uses the phone. That's when we get the whole big Teddy Long freak out where he asks the crowd like it's a game show, did he use the phone?
Right.
It was kind of awesome and kind of weird at the same time. They didn't really stop the match. All of a sudden, hit the roll up 1, 2, 3. The Midnight Express wins. They can still use said name, and on they go. So let's start with Emir this time. What do you rate this match?
I don't know, man. I guess. Well, here's the thing. I don't want to feel pressure to give it a rating that I don't think it was. I didn't really enjoy the match. I don't know why, but okay, I did enjoy seeing Cornette, and I loved seeing Paul Heyman. But I don't know that much about either Midnight Express team for whatever reason. I don't know, man. But I don't know, 2.5.
2.5. Nice, Paul.
Comedy alone, the comical aspect of this match, between Cornette and Paul Heyman, Paul E. Dangerously, alone was a 2. The match itself, I'll give a half, because there wasn't really a match. They had their few little hits here and there, but other than that, it was, Cornette and Dangerously running around outside the ring, trying to get each other's attention, pretending they're going to beat up each other, you know, interfering in the match. So I give it a 2.5.
2.5. Great minds think alike. I'm in the same boat as you. The comical part of it alone definitely. I was going to say about a 1.5 stars. I feel like the in-ring work was a little bit better than I guess than you guys are giving it credit for. It was a lot faster than some of the than the last couple of matches. So, like I said, I enjoyed it. I felt it was solid. Like I said, Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman absolutely made this match for what it was. So, and I still love the line that he was going to give the world a Christmas present and kick Paulie's butt. It was great. 2.5
Right.
for me as well.
If you ever get a chance, anybody who's listening, either one of you guys, you ever get a chance, you want to see some classic Cornette and Heyman and Paulie Dangerously, watch the prior 2 episodes of the World Championship Wrestling Saturday night before these ones, before this pay-per-view airs. They're hilarious, and it's classic them. Them on the mic, it's gold.
I think I'm gonna
that's my credit. Those 2 you have to watch.
You have my
I believe
attention.
it's the 24th, which the 24th and the 10th. Those 2, December 24th and December 10th. They were classic.
Paul Heyman, a master on the mic nowadays, and it was just as good back in the day. Jim Cornette, always good. But let's get into something not so good. Ivan Koloff, the Junkyard Dog, against the Russian Assassins. The Junkyard Dog.
Before you even ask me a rating, half.
Just
half because I love the Junkyard Dog. Here, I'll even give it a 1 because I love the Junkyard Dog, and that'll be the rest. That's all my comment for this match.
My only comment is I was definitely giving it a 1 star just on the basis of the way that these guys won the match is he hit a foreign object in his fucking face mask. What the fuck?
Right.
That is
Right.
of all the places you could have stuck the foreign object, it's like, oh, I know. I'll hide it in my fucking lucha mask. Fuck you.
This was the greatest.
Right?
Paul Jones.
Oh my God.
Speaking of great managers, Paul Jones.
Are we even going to comment about this match? I mean, on the fact that you got the Russian assassin, and then you have the Russian bear, Ivan Koloff, across the ring.
Why was Ivan Koloff even tag teaming with the Junkyard Dog? Nothing about this match made sense to me.
Exactly. Nothing.
It's because
And
Ivan's over.
even
That's why.
Into the how everything happened in this match still made no sense. None.
I gave it a 1.5, strictly
None.
for.
It was like, here, you know what? We got this match. You know what? We got an open space for this match. Let's fill it with these guys.
Yeah, I gave it a 1.5, strictly off of the Junkyard Dog and his gigantic pop, and a 0.5 point for seeing Ivan Koloff hit the sickle. That's it.
Can I just say this about the Junkyard Dog? The year was 1988, and they were in Virginia. You say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah, a lot of white folks in the crowd. A lot of white folks. The fact that those white people popped so big for Junkyard Dog, I was like, well, look at that. You can't come to our house for dinner, but we shall cheer you as you enter the ring. There we go.
Right.
Awesome match. No, it wasn't. It was absolutely terrible. But this is a match up next that I thoroughly enjoyed, mainly because I did a fair share of wrestling in my day, and this was definitely a wrestling match. The World Television title on the line. Mike Rotundo, Rick Steiner, Syracuse against Michigan.
Oh man, let me tell you something. First off, fuck shark cages.
Yeah, those things
Okay,
suck.
I don't
They're
even understand
the fucking
how
worst.
WWE. If you think about how many times a shark cage has been used in WWE in the last year or 2 years, it just makes you want to jump off a fucking bridge. Like, and then to turn on this pay-per-view that took place in 1988, I just thought to myself, another fucking shark cage. I can't even be mad at them. That was innovative back then. I'm mad at WWE. I shouldn't be able to turn on WWE in this day and age and see something that was a big deal in 1988 still being used, like a fucking shark cage. But I will say, man, Steiner, he was fantastic.
Steiner was just gigantic, just gigantuan. He was just ripped to the gills. Like,
Yo,
I didn't know if that was Scott or Rick.
Moses Marquez,
Yes.
Paul Morales.
He's there somewhere.
No. Says he's been dropped. He says he's not in the call.
Son of a gun. All right. Hold on. All right. Stand by, everybody. Okay. Technical difficulties aside. Paul's back. We're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
That.
Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend.
Okay.
So we were just talking about how amazing Rick Steiner was.
Oh, dude, Rick Steiner is a stud. Dude, even for the mad dog that he is a stud.
Yeah, man. It was to see him wrestle.
He is a worker.
And he hits hard, bro.
Yeah, he could probably legitimately kill a couple of guys if he wanted to. Like I said, I couldn't tell if that was Scott Steiner or Rick Steiner out there because we know how big Scott gets, and Rick was just naturally huge, fresh off the mat and from Michigan, just ready to kill. Like I said from the jump, this was a straight wrestling match. It was a hold after a hold. And then, hey, guess what? Another hold. You know, there was a big crossbody. It slows down. There's a Syracuse sucks chance. Rotunda finally gets the upper hand, sends Steiner outside, knocks him on the railing. Long chin hold. Shocker. You know, Steiner hits a big clothesline, then starts barking because that's his gimmick. He's all fired up. But down comes Steve Williams. Steiner hits a big power slam, gets a near fall. After Steiner hits a belly-to-belly under Rotundo, Steve Williams hits the ring. Steiner jumps up like the winner, but now there's a big argument on who won. Sullivan is randomly out of this stupid shark cage that we have no idea why he's in the shark cage to begin with. Steiner throws Rotundo into Sullivan, picks up the 1, 2, 3. We have a new NWA World Television Champion. It was... Can I just before I get all excited about the title switch and how Rick Steiner actually looked pretty good in this match, is it me or did he look like AC Slater from Saved by the Bell?
No, actually, you want to know what it was?
Is that hair?
It's
gotta be that hair.
It was a slow-paced match, but it was methodical. It was technical, you know. For that time, it was technical, you know. These guys took bumps. These guys hit each other. I mean, and it was, you know, great. Dude, from beginning to end, the fact that, you know, freaking, the hell's his damn name again?
Mike Rotunda?
No, the homeboy up in the damn,
Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan. Yeah, because he was up there and all of a sudden he comes, you know, they let him go because the pinfall, they thought the pinfall was one way, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, you're restarting the match, and then
random restart the match.
Is like, it's like a Laurel and Hardy sketch just at the end. Like all of a sudden, you know, he hits him, and then all of a sudden he rolls him up 1, 2, 3, and then boom, that was it.
Damn right.
And it was great.
My note on this match was two things. I didn't understand damn jacket. Also, Mike Rotunda has the most boring face in the history of wrestling. And then the other thing was Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner has the best clothesline in the business, bar none.
Well, no,
I
it was
don't care
awesome.
what anybody said. I never seen a better. I don't give a fuck about the clothesline from hell or any other version. Rick Steiner's clothesline, that's a finisher to me, man. That was just fantastic to see.
No, it was absolutely awesome. So Rick Steiner pins Bray Wyatt's dad to become the new television champion. I actually gave that 3 stars because I appreciate collegiate wrestling, and because Rick Steiner's awesome.
I gave it 3 stars as well, and I did that because I just kind of feel like as a kid when I started watching Rick Steiner, I don't remember him being as good as what I saw.
No, he was like,
Like
just a
when I
tag team
saw
guy.
him at STARRCADE '88, I was like, "Oh my God, this guy is amazing!" So I was very impressed by what he did. Not so much Mike Rotunda. I didn't like his face. I don't like the way he moves. He doesn't seem like a wrestler to me. I felt like he got outclassed, and every time he got hit with that clothesline, I was thrilled about that. But still, gave it a 3.
Paul?
Yeah, you know what? And I loved it, beginning to end, dude. It was like that classic '80s match, beginning to end. I actually gave it a 3.5.
Ooh, the half 'em. Gotta love it. All right, jump into the next match. And I anticipated a really good match, and I was excited to see a good match because I saw the 2 names, Barry Windham, Bam Bam Bigelow, and then I stopped myself. This is 1988. Bam Bam Bigelow's been wrestling for this fucking long?
Yes, he's been wrestling.
Like, I
for
thought
that
he
fucking
was
long.
like just getting into the groove of it when he was on fucking Nitro, and this guy's been doing it since the fucking mid 80s.
Yes, he has.
Jiminy Christmas. So this match absolutely and completely let me down. It was all Bam Bam. Barry looked good towards the end. He fucking slips on a banana peel, and he wins by countout. He fucking gets ran into the post, and it's over. This match sucked.
Another bullshit ending when this is supposed to be this is supposed to be the Super Bowl of wrestling, and we're having matches end by freaking countout. Come on, man.
Right? He couldn't even make the damn 10 count. Like, literally, dude, you were outside and then you were like standing up and you couldn't slide under the ring at 9.
So,
this is the kind of thing that we would give WWE
Like you
shit
jump,
for if they did today.
jump at 9.5 to try and make it in the ring, and then it's like 10. Dude, you're not even in the ring. Like you half a second earlier, dude, you would have been in the ring.
yeah, it was
That half a second late, you're out. You're counted out.
it was
It's
just
like,
weird.
dude, that was just horrible ending. Good match though. I have to give it. That match was hard hitting.
I agree with that. It was hard hitting, but Barry Windham normally plays like the monster. He's normally the bigger guy to all of his opponents. He can't play that role against Bam Bam. I feel like it didn't really mesh. That's why I'm only giving it a 2.
Bam Bam did that springboard right from the ring apron back inside the ring.
Yes, he did.
I love watching Bam Bam work because just for the obvious reason, he's a huge motherfucker, but that fool sometimes he moves around that ring like a cruiserweight.
Yes, he does. And even for as tall and lanky, and lengthy, as Mike Rotunda, was. I mean, Mike Rotunda. Jeez. Barry Windham. I'm on the wrong match. Sorry, my bad.
Barry
Windham. For as tall as he is, and wearing cowboy boots at that fool could still kick ass back then.
Most definitely.
Dude, that lariat freaking clothesline.
Oh no, it was killer clothesline. I mean, it's not on par with Rick Steiner's, but killer clothesline nonetheless.
Yeah, and he was before this match. He's knocking guys out with that thing. I mean that his version of like the clothesline from hell, and the same lariat one that JBL used, that one was just it's it's one of those hard hitting clotheslines. It like hits you and you're like, oh shit.
No.
It's like Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner, he hits you and you feel it into your back.
No, he hits you. He comes at you with the strong style.
And like that previous match, dude, Bam Bam sold everything except for that damn fucking count out. Sorry, my bad. Just that was horrible. I was gonna give it a 4, but I'm gonna take a half a point away for that damn missing the count out.
3.5 and the count out with the fuckery. Emir?
I was gonna give it a 4. I was gonna give it a 4. I had the match at a 4, but him not making that 10 count, yep, that took away a half a point.
Yeah, I was so pissed off at the ending because I just thought to myself, what the fuck? Like, what is that? I hate when there's a great match that ends in a dumb way like that, so that took it down to a 3 for me.
3. I went all the way down to a 2 strictly because I just felt like it was a big Haas match, but it wasn't like the Haas match that I expected. You know what I mean? I felt like it wasn't as throw around, beat each other up as it should have been. But Bam Bam looks good. Barry Windham's still really good. Just it didn't flow. So, but a match that flowed well, entertaining, and my immediate right now match of the night, the NWA Tag Team Title match, the Legion of Doom Road Warriors taking on Sting and Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes was fat and has always been fat. He wasn't as fat as I thought he was.
Man, oh hell no! What the hell you got against fat people?
I have nothing
people,
against fat
I'm a
people.
fat guy.
As am I, boys.
Look,
I'm a large gentleman.
It was the
myself.
last podcast we did. Now all of a sudden, now you're on this one. What you got against fat people?
I have no issues with the fat people. I am a part of the community myself. I remember I can still see him from NXT when he was his older days and he was big. He's not as big as I thought he was going to be. Sting is just beyond over. We thought Junkyard Dog was over. Sting is over to the moon and back. And then speaking of guys that are huge, the Road Warriors, Jesus Christ. Almost combined 600 pounds. They're wide and they're jacked. What the fuck?
Yeah, but Hawk and Animal have always been that size. They've been doing.
No, but
they're the workout guys.
Those guys
like
in the 80s.
Jim Ross says, they're not the finesse guys. They're the guys that go out there and pump iron. Pump 500 pounds, squat, and all this other stuff that he was talking about. And that's not who. Well, we obviously know that's not how Dusty Rhodes is, because the only thing I'm gonna curl is a cheeseburger and some fries.
That's right. He's gonna do it like that, honey.
Oh, daddy, you learning a bit, daddy.
Okay, before I jump into the action, Sting, when he was introduced, he screams. And he's louder than the guy with the microphone.
Right?
I was like, holy Jesus, that's some talent.
No. For as loud as everybody, as loud as the audience was, Sting was louder than they were.
Yeah, it was insane.
There's something else I meant to say about these old-ass shows. Is like nowadays you hear the ring announcer go like making his way to the ring, but back then it was always making his way down the aisle.
Yeah.
Down the aisle.
It was. All right, so I'm going to get right into it.
Okay, so he's not Howard Finkel. I'm sorry, he's not Howard.
He's not Howard Finkel. Howard Finkel, by the way, because you brought him up, a new inductee into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, he's
way to go, Fink.
Oh yeah, the Fink.
I think is cool.
You are the man. So the Road Warriors wasted a little time once they hit the ring. They started brawling. They ended, Sting and Dusty ended up standing their ground. That's when they got the introductions off, which is weird. Normally they're like, nope, fuck this shit, no introductions here. And the guy's like, no, look at here, damn it. They paid me to do this shit, and I'm doing this shit. So gets the introductions off. Animal starts it off. Looks strong. Sting makes a comeback. Huge leapfrog drop kick. Dusty comes in, then hits a double team on Animal. Sting and Hawk are in the ring. Go to the corner, stomps into the mat, brings it back. Big shots. Sting answers back with the shots of his own. Then hits a giant power slam, running elbow, and it's just back and forth. Animal comes in. This just was... I'm going to try to simplify because I legit wrote a fucking novel for this match because that's how awesome this match was. Every time it felt like Dusty or Sting would get the upper hand, Hawk and Animal, they're the way they coincide as a team, like they work so well with each other. They knew when to step in, they knew when to come back. They're so strong competitors. They were able to fight back without having to worry. There was a lot of no selling in this match. All of a sudden, guys are just landing shots. They're just like, nope. At one point they're going after Dusty's eye, the injured eye that got attacked with the railroad spike, and later on he just starts landing shots and he just starts dancing through them, firing up, doing his thing, getting his boogie woogie on. That fucking traffic in the background is goddamn killing me.
Yo, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm
Dusty's in the background getting jiggy with it.
It's in the background getting
I was
jiggy.
like, it sounds like somebody's in the Fast and Furious right now.
It's just they're getting it, dude. It's You know what I mean? It's late at night. They got to get to the McDonald's before they shut down. Then they're afraid they're not 24 hours. They're like, we can't have that.
They got to get to the Waffle House, before.
They had the
The
Waffle House. Anyway, this is just awesome match. Dusty with a big random drop kick. I'm not going to call that awesome. He barely got up. I'm surprised he got up. The whole ring shook when he hit the ground. It was crazy. Sting hits the splash, goes for the scorpion, gets broken up, but he hits the crossbody. Looks like it's going to be the victory. Paul Ellering pulls the ref out of the ring. Sting and Dusty end up winning by DQ. It could have been a title change. Regardless of the screwy finish, it was awesome. It was a great story. The Road Warriors are awesome. Sting is the man. Dusty is incredible. 4.5 stars. Best match of the night. I loved it. Do you hear me? I loved it.
You know what? I still think the main event was the better match, but I do give it. If I'm scoring it, I give it a 4.5.
I have my reasons for why the main's not the number one, but we'll get into that when that is. Emir, how do you feel about this one?
I thought it was great. I mean, just look at the players involved. Seeing it, right away. Oh, that had to be a fantastic match. There's no way it couldn't be. I enjoyed it. I even loved seeing a young Paul Ellering. I definitely had it at a 4. I didn't have it at match of the night, but ooh. I loved it. And man, just seeing the Road Warriors, man, and that Doomsday device. I just love it. Everything they do is a tag team. You look at them like, holy shit, these guys are legit. And then of course Sting and Dusty, just everything about it is amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, the only reason why Dusty was in this match was because he had to go backstage and go back and keep producing the pay-per-view. So that's the reason why he was, like Cody was in All In. He was just in the back. That's why he wasn't the main event. Because remember, this is his pay-per-view.
This is true.
This was his baby.
That is true.
So,
Dusty used to be the booker back in the day. He was not a booker for long, but definitely has his influence there. Had his influence in other promotions along the way.
Yeah, I heard he did it 5 times. 5 times.
It was only 3 times.
So yes. Oh, by the way, little side note. By the way, STARRCADE was the first NWA pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view.
Was the very first NWA pay-per-view. STARRCADE. Great American Bash was the second, and that came 3 years later.
Jesus Christ.
3 years, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it was like WrestleMania. WrestleMania, they did the first 3. The third one, the same year they did Survivor Series.
That's right.
87.
Yep, you had to get more shows out there. Now they have a show every goddamn month.
Exactly. And now everybody and their mother has a damn pay-per-view.
Exactly. So, we were talking about the main event. Let's jump to the main event. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, the 5-time world champion, the current and defending world champion, takes on none other than the total package, Lex Luger. The title can change hands on a Ric Flair disqualification.
It wasn't really the main event It wasn't really the main event, but I'll tell you that afterwards.
No, please enlighten us now, because the network cut us off for what the real main event was, which was...
Actually, it was never intended to actually be televised, because it was never televised.
Well, that's bullshit. A bunkhouse stampede happened after the main event. That's what happened. I'm killing it right now. If it was a bunkhouse stampede, it would have been fucking awesome to watch.
So anyways, we'll go back to that. We'll get to that one after the televised main event.
Yeah, that's right. We will get back to that again. Title change hands on a disqualification. Lex Luger just absolutely ripped and huge. He was my dude. There was the guy I constantly watched when I was growing up back in the WCW era, when he wasn't as huge and more on the older side. So, but the big gold belt looks absolutely awesome. And Ric Flair, in his younger years, I see, you know what I mean? I see why everybody was all about the hoopla hopla. You know what I mean? Like, besides his wrestling, he definitely had that look.
Oh yeah, he was styling and profiling before people knew what styling and profiling was.
That is true.
Let me tell you something about this match. Ric Flair, a man's man, a champion's champion. Ric Flair, when you see him, you go like, I was completely enamored with the match and with the story behind it. When you see Ric Flair, you go, oh yeah, this is what a champion's supposed to look like. When you see Ric Flair as champion, it makes you think back to some other people who should have never held the goddamn belt. Like they were never. There's never going to be a day in their life where they would wake up as cool as Ric Flair was on this night. You know what I mean?
Like
there were a lot of people who were never as cool as Ric Flair. There were a lot of people who were not as cool as Ric Flair. There were a lot of people who couldn't talk like Ric Flair.
Yeah, Lex Luger, his physique,
Ronnie Garvin,
out of this world, man. And this match, man. Let me tell you something. I love matches where at the end of the match, first of all, I love it when you really feel like the other guy could win, where you really don't know, where you go like, I don't know, I can't even tell at this point, he could really win. And then even when he doesn't, I love matches where at the end of it all, you take your hat off to both competitors, because there were no losers in that match. Ric Flair and Lex Luger both did such a great job, even down to the way that the ending was booked, in my opinion. I just thought to myself, both their stocks just rose up higher and higher because of this.
It was beyond. The thing is that for this era and for this time period, you know the name Ric Flair, you know the name Lex Luger, but if you have not witnessed, watching these pay-per-views and going back and watching like these old pay-per-views and not cherishing, that era, then you're missing out. You're missing out how all those pay-per-views, how all those events, how all these matches are brought forward to now. And we just don't, take them and just say, oh, okay, well, those matches happened, but do you go back and do you see them? These ones that we've been doing, aside from the first pay-per-view that we did, or we won't go there.
No, we won't.
I say that we're going forward, we're going to try and do our best to try and pick some of the greatest pay-per-views of all time and try and take them and give them to people. And we suggest that you guys go back and actually sit down and watch these matches because, hands down, this was the best match of the night, and I loved it beginning to end. And they both sold it.
I had it at a 5. That's just me.
Wow.
And I had it at a 5.
So we're just gonna jump into it. I only gave it a 4. Now I'm gonna go through this whole match.
That's it. Moses is fired.
No.
That's it.
No.
That's it.
No.
That's it. Emir, call somebody.
Call
somebody. I'm the host there, Haas. You can call somebody if you don't get the fuck out of here. Okay? I run the ship here. All right? I'm the captain now. Okay? Look into my eyes. This is me.
Tell us
okay?
why you only gave it a 4.
The reason why I gave it a 4 is because this was a Ric Flair carry job. That's why I gave this a 4. Lex Luger showed me that he can do more than power slams and military presses. Okay, he made these superplexes look awesome. He made his verticals from the apron to the inside look good. His cross bodies were solid. His running the ropes was solid. It was all around an excellent match. Probably one of the better Lex Luger matches I've ever seen. But with that being said, there was a lot of, Ric Flair screwery, J.J. Dillon involvement. I didn't like how the ref was kind of being a dick, kicking the fucking rope and making Ric Flair's hand get off. Who am I lying? It was awesome, okay?
Thank you.
I mean...
Thank you. Now you better change. Yeah.
You know what?
We're back. So now we're back to 5. Now you're back at
I'm not going to
5.
go to a 5. But you know what? After mauling it around in my
said.
head and after reading everything that I wrote down, I will change it from a 4 and up it to a 4.5 to tie it with the tag team match prior. But I still think the tag team match was better than this one. It was solid. This was probably one of the best Lex Luger matches I've ever seen, and definitely one of the top 10 Ric Flair matches I've ever seen because I've seen all 3 of him against Steamboat. So
come on, not even when he was the narcissist. You didn't like him?
I wasn't that. I mean, I've been a fan of Luger.
That was a joke, man.
I've been a fan of Luger for a long time. I try not to watch his WWF run, but unfortunately it sneaks its way in there. He's great. At that time, Rick was better. Like I said, it was good. I'm not going to kill it. 4.5 is what I'll give it. I can't wait to see Sting and Ric Flair. I think that's where the great matches are going to start to come in. I think there's an option for us to watch like a Dusty and Flair match. We'll see as the time goes on.
No. Here,
so
I'll give you one. At some point in time later on this year. We're gonna do Chi-Town. We're gonna do Chi-Town Rumble, which was the pay-per-view right after this one, and that was Flair. Because remember, if you guys don't know, this feud between Luger and Flair ended. And if you see the interview after, he already said that's your last time, blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, I did listen to that.
Yeah, and that's where it ended. But the next pay-per-view, it's Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, and that was definitely on Dave Meltzer. That he gave it a 5-star match.
Yeah, it's one of the best 3 matches of Ric Flair's top 3 against Steamboat. There's also one in Japan that he did.
Hands down. We're gonna do that one later on this year, probably after closer to the end of next year. Sorry, end of this year.
I won't spoil all of it for you guys. We have 2 more shows on our current list before we start adding more. I will go ahead and give out this one, so if you catch it in time, maybe you can follow along with us. The next show we're going to be reviewing is ECW Heatwave 1998. That's right. ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling. We're going to the hardcore side. We just enjoyed some comedy from Paul Heyman. Now we get to see the serious side of Paul Heyman when we get into the heat wave, if you will.
This was chosen by yours truly.
Emir, this was his
Yeah,
pick.
he's gonna take credit for it if it goes to shit.
This
so.
NWA show was my pick. New Year's resolution also my pick. And then
yeah, so we'll blame Moses for the first one.
it's okay. It was great. It's okay. I won't reveal the last one that we have picked. I'll save that for the next episode. And then by then we'll hopefully have another list to go off of from there. So all in all, after this show had finished, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. 2 thumbs up. I highly recommend this STARRCADE. Absolutely.
Yes, I highly recommend it too. Just skip the second match. Or skip third match.
Just skip the Junkyard Dog match. The rest of them are cool. You can
skip that
you can
one
even
because
tolerate the
guys will
Midnight
probably
Express
just be
match.
like, you know what? Just gonna skip it.
Like I said, you can.
And we'll go off and we'll talk about the dark match that didn't air, which was the Bunkhouse Stampede match. And of all the characters that are in this match, you have the Junkyard Dog, who wrestled earlier, Abdul the Butcher, Commando Ray, which if nobody knows, that's actually the Big Boss Man.
Ooh, Big Boss Man.
And Commando Boone, who I have no idea who the hell it is. I know who Eddie Gilbert is. I know who Dick Murdoch is. Kendall Windham, who is the younger brother of
Big
Barry
Dick
Windham.
Murdoch.
Yeah, Big Dick Murdoch. Dustin Rhodes making his pay-per-view debut
In a dark match.
in a dark match.
In a
Nobody
dark
wanted
match.
to see it. Tommy Rogers, Buddy Fulton.
Wait, hang on. That's how long Goldust has been wrestling. He was on a pay-per-view in 1988.
Under a
Yes,
different name.
And that was actually his first one, and he was 19.
Jesus Christ. So.
Tommy Rogers, Buddy Fulton, Dennis
Bobby Fulton.
Condrey, Randy Rose. By the way, both Midnight Express participants, all 4 of them were actually in this match. So was Steve Williams, Steve Dr. Death Williams.
He did a couple more gorilla
presses. By the way, yeah, he did
to
some
the
more
bum.
gorilla presses. Al Perez and the legend, the living legend, Larry Zbyszko.
Larry Zbyszko.
And that was, and from what I've seen on YouTube, it was one crazy ass match. And the Junkyard Dog came out victorious.
JYD.
So he lost the first match, just won the second, won the event that wasn't shown.
Well, it's okay because he got the biggest pop of the night, and I'm sure he got an even bigger pop when he won said match.
Yes, exactly.
Well, right on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. Do keep your ears plugged for more coming to the RWT YouTube station and, of course, the SoundCloud station for Smart Mark Radio, soundcloud.com/Smart Mark Radio. We do have a Royal Rumble prediction show coming out and then followed up with a Royal Rumble review show where we're actually going to be having multiple special guest hosts. One of them that is confirmed as of right now, and that is a man that is a part of the Max Wrestle podcast. Michael Larkin will be joining Emir and myself for the Royal Rumble review. There's talks of Moni Lynn and quite possibly a handful others, maybe even another surprise guest or two. So keep your ears plugged for that one. Paul, thank you. Emir, thank you. Next show is going to be hardcore, for lack of a better term, and I cannot wait. So we will catch you all around the bend. Have a great night.